Welcome to Ask the Animals Productions, where we look at natural science without evolution. In the video you're about to see, we'll be looking at a single chapter from our DVD, Animals and Their God-Given Gift for Architecture. In this video, we look at the incredible variety of animals who build homes, both for themselves and for their young, and how that single subject, by itself, completely refutes evolution. We hope you find this useful and interesting, but remember that there's a lot more available on the DVD itself.
Architecture. What is it? Why is it important? The dictionary defines architecture as the art or science of building, including design, construction, and decorative treatment. So any act of construction where a human builds an object is an example of architecture. Excavating a shelter cave out of soft cliffs, a house of wood or stone, a fortified castle, grain silos, warehouses, power plants, freeways, all are forms of architecture. In fact, most of the structures in our lives are forms of human architecture. How does a human go about building these objects? Originally, someone gets an idea using tools and local materials and works until completing the design. At this point, one of two things will happen. 1. The knowledge of how to build this specific design will be lost with the builder, and the design will have to be rediscovered from scratch later by someone else. 2. The knowledge of how to build this specific design will be passed on by the builder to other people, either verbally or by writing. Once this second option happens, more people will copy the design and improve upon it. This allows mass production by people who are skilled in copying, but who aren't likely to invent a new design themselves. Without language, writing, and practical training, each new human generation would have to start from square one, reinventing designs over and over again. How many of us could build our own home by ourselves, unless that is our profession or hobby? So we depend on language and writing for progress. So what about the animals? Let's say an individual animal is the genius of his species. He one day realizes that digging a hole or building a shelter is a good idea. He uses his newborn insight to create a structure that makes life easier to live. How will this knowledge be passed on to others of his species? He has no formal language to tell others how to make it. He can't write it down. Even if others watch him build, few, if any, will understand that this is a good activity to copy. So the likelihood of a new form of architecture being passed on to others in the animal world is low to non-existent. But there are many animals in nature that are builders during some part of their lives. If they evolved over millions of years, how did they become builders? Animals who build have physical skills and mental instincts that allow them to create architecture. Their instincts are hardwired into their brains from birth. Where did this instinct come from, and when did it start? According to the theory of evolution, there had to be an individual animal in the history of a species that learned how to build, and then passed this knowledge on as instinct. But evolution offers no scientific evidence for an individual's knowledge being passed on to her babies as hardwired instinct. If she teaches her children what she has learned, they can continue the teaching of this information to their children. But this is not instinct. When the chain of teaching is broken, any skills learned will be lost until rediscovered anew by later individuals. This makes the origin of instinct a very difficult problem for evolution, especially in those animal species which never have any opportunity to teach their young anything. How does an insect or spider teach a baby which she will never see? How does a bird teach her chick how to build a nest when the nest is finished before the chick hatches, and the chick will leave long before next year's nest will be built? Evolutionists throw the term instinct around without ever explaining its origin. But for a creationist, instinct is an important tool of God's creation. God made animals with useful physical skills and hardwired mental knowledge that lets them construct homes or shelters. Since every animal is an individual, some will implement their skills well, and some will do so poorly. But all will pass on the skills of their species to their children through genetics. God has given wonderful gifts to many animal architects. If only one or two species existed, evolution could account for it. The more skilled builders we find, the more problems they create for evolution. Each species that builds is a living witness for creation and undermines the speculations of evolutionists. So this presentation will look at the huge variety of animal architects, for there are far more than most of us realize, and their diversity is a wonderful testimony of God's special creation.